and other individuals, and as you can imagine, that's going to take some time to sort of ferret that issue out. But we are prepared to move as quickly as we can and get that to the committee when we finish that discussion. As we all know, Chinese medicine has been around for over 5,000 years. When acupuncturists were licensed in the state of California, there were other aspects to traditional Chinese medicine. These are what we call traumatologists. They deal with a lot of soft tissue injuries and other types of injuries, and they've been practicing here in California for over 100 years. Unfortunately, they're not recognized, and so we are now looking within this particular bill to allow the certification of these individuals that are currently practicing in the state of California. Once this group is certified, or once the group of potential individuals are determined, then the door will close, that there will be no other individuals able to acquire this particular certification through this particular procedure. And the reason for that is that the training is now changed. The training in China is where these traumatologists are now embedded into an overarching category called traditional doctors of traditional Chinese medicine. So this is really more an effort to try and to certify individuals who are currently practicing within their particular scope, and that's all this bill will do. And
very good,
that,
Senator Yi. Do you want to go to your witnesses? Let's just hear a comment from Finance while your witnesses are coming forward. Finance on 628 by Senator Yi.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Miriam Ingenito with the Department of Finance. And I understand that amendments will be taken on suspense, but as the bill stands, the initial certificate fee of $75 and the $75 renewal fee due every 5 years would be insufficient to cover the one-time costs or the ongoing administrative costs of the programs. We estimate that assuming 25 to 50 certification applications would occur, the fee would be required to be set at $13,200 to $6,600 range.
Thank you. Members, we have this as a due pass. With the commitment to work on the amendments, we don't see significant fiscal impacts with the bill. So I want to get a handle on how many people are testifying on SB 628. Alrighty. So we'll take three proponents, 3 supporters, and then we'll just have names and
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
So the first 3 speakers, come on up. Who would you like, Senator Yi?
Michelle and then Leon.
All righty. And you go ahead and begin, ma'am. Tell us your name. Ma'am, go ahead, begin.
Okay, my name is Michelle La, licensed acupuncturist for 25 years. And I'm the past president and also now the honorary president of the Council of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine Associations. Today I'm here to support this bill on behalf of myself and also several members from the Southern California. So we support this bill.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Leon Chow. I'm from the Service Employee International Union, United Healthcare Workers West. The majority of our members is actually healthcare workers, and the irony right now is because that, for the traditional carrying out of the healing minor wounds and other long-term suffering or physical suffering, a lot of our Chinese American members in actually working in the healthcare industry relied on the traditional treatments. So, we clearly recognize that the need is there. If we're able to certify it, we'll be able to actually spreading out even more on functional. It's proven to be work, and the medicine is actually a great alternative on treatments, on traumas, and we fully support it.
Very good. Next, please. You, sir? All right. I think we have a substitute player. Welcome, sir. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Carl Chan, and I'm here to testify and say about a little bit about the traumatologist. And I think many of us here, except unless you are Chinese or maybe been seeing, traditional Chinese medicine, you may not know about traumatology. So basically, throughout history, for the past few thousand years, and I presented this to some of the folks earlier before. Way back in the wartime, and especially in China, when there are many slavery, those folks work hard. But unfortunately, when they're in the wartime, when they got hurt, the emperors normally, when they see their sick soldiers and they get hurt, the next thing they do, instead of taking care of them, they say move on. And most of these soldiers would die. But fortunately, when these many martial art folks and people in the soldiers in the army, and some of them are traumatologists. So what they have done is saving all these soldiers. So they have broken bones or hurting the ligaments or the muscles. So what they have done is actually help them to heal so that they can save their life. And especially many of those slaves, and they will save the life for that. However, and I remember that not too long ago, a few years ago, I was here and seeing the Shaolin Temple martial art monks. They may have performed here before, and also at the Jay Leno show. Basically, for that time, the traumatology has been the part of the arts, the martial arts, and related with the martial art as well. And I'm sure you have seen my cousin, Jackie Chan. Well, related in last name only, okay?
Senator Yi, I'm going to ask you to testify to this.
So basically,
Jackie, trip to Hong Kong.
When he's traveling with his group in performing martial arts and taking studios, one important group of people he'll be traveling with are the traumatologists, because they will fix him. He's always getting hurt. So
yes.
Those are the things that we need. And basically, one thing I really have to say, by recalling that, and also many times I know that there are people, they support it and they may be having a problem with it. I remember a few years ago when acupuncturists trying to say, can I be legitimized? And I think there were quite a few concerns about people saying, why? Are you really working? Is that something that really good for us? But you know what? Thanks to the state legislators, you are the one not only providing us the best advanced medicine, but you're also providing us the alternative medicine. And basically, it will help us.
Very good. And you are in support.
Yes.
Senator Yi, and to your supporters also, with the amendments, we do not see significant fiscal impact. So we'll take another statement, and then your other supporters can give their name and city. Is that acceptable to you?
I think that we will take this, Mr. Ao, one last time, and then what I'm going to just do is to ask those individuals in the audience who are supporting the bill to just stand up, and that's all.
That's fine. Well, or raise their hand. That'd be good too. Meantime, while we're in the middle of things here, let me take the roll call because we have Senator Emerson's still here. We have a quorum. Please call the roll.
Kehoe?
Sit up straight. Kehoe here.
Kehoe here. Walters? Alquist?
Here.
Alquist here. Emerson? Here. Emerson here. Liu? Pavley? Price? Here. Price here. Runner? Here. Runner here. Steinberg?
We have a quorum. Sir, please tell us your testimony.
Thank you, madam. My name is Richard Ao. I belong to Kaiser, the system, and then the Veterans Administration. I'm a wartime vet.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a backache. I went to various doctors, orthopedics, neurosurgeons in both systems, and not much help. Then I have Loxaphan. They package dermatologists, and it helps me. I urge that you pass 628 so that I just give them the Kaiser card, and then they will take care of me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. For all those others, citizens that are here today to support Senator Yi's SB 628, please raise your hand in support. Okay, stand. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Now I have to ask, are there any, thank you, all the way to the back, I see you. Is there opposition to SB 628? Any opposition? Is there opposition to 628? Seeing none, we've heard from Finance. I have a motion by Senator Alquist. Any comments, members? Then we will call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters?
No.
Walters, no. Alquist?
Aye.
Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, no. Liu? Pavley? Price? Aye. Price, aye. Runner? Runner, no. Steinberg? Currently 3-3.
It is 3-3. Senator Yee will hold the roll open. Some members are still flying in.
Thank you very much.
So that, and you're going to present now on SB 9.
That's correct.
This is on sentencing for under 18 years of age, life sentences.
That's
Senator
correct.
Yee, go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Senators. SB 9 is a reintroduction of SB 399. I know that this is a bill going to suspense, but still really wanted to kind of clarify some points. I, again, thank you for your staff working with my staff and others to try and mitigate the costs. What this bill basically will do is to allow those individuals, youngsters who are in prison for the rest of their lives without the possibility of parole, a second chance at life. And this, again, not a get out of the jail free card, but rather that they, these young individuals have to demonstrate remorse, that they have demonstrated that they have been on a treatment of dealing with some of the issues that cause the particular problem that they have, and that's all it does. The only point that I would raise is that when we started to work on this issue a number of different years ago, there were a handful of countries in the world that still had this particular sentence. And now, on this occasion, the United States is the only country in the entire world that has this particular sentence. I think there are so many other cases right now where the Supreme Court has also ruled that children and adults are different, that one of the major arguments about that difference is their brain development, their mental capacity to kind of do the kinds of things that would allow an adult to probably be held responsible for their behavior. And so with that, this bill just simply gives youngsters another chance. Let me address some of the finance issues.
Yes.
I know that there's been some concerns raised as to the cost, but again, I would argue that in subsequent reviews, the cost of those kinds of reviews ought to be a lot lower than the initial costs for the initial review. So the analogy would be that if we had a bill that was first introduced, that the Appropriation Committee would score the cost of that analysis as a particular number. But if the bill were to be reintroduced, then I got to believe that the analysis would not be as costly because you've done a rather thorough analysis that very first time. The only real analysis would be what happened between the last bill and the new bill, and if it's a short period of time, then the cost wouldn't be that great. So I think that we will continue to have those kinds of discussions, and again, with that, hopefully we can get it out of suspense and get it onto the floor. And with that, let me ask Elizabeth to make some comments.
Thank you, Senator Yee. We are going to hear from Finance first. Our committee analysis does identify costs around the hearings, which would have to take place before any future savings might or might not occur. So that's our main concern here in Appropriations. Finance, will you give us your report now, and then we'll go to witnesses, and then we'll hear from the members.
Madam Chair, the judicial branch does indicate that the bill has the potential to add to the court's caseload, which would increase backlogs and could create cross pressures to the general fund to handle the increased caseload. However, the Department of Finance notes that the courts are not typically funded on a bill or caseload-specific basis. Therefore, unless this particular caseload becomes significant and can be documented by the courts would be required to absorb this cost. And CDCR does not have any additional costs related to this bill.
Right. We'll go to your witnesses.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you very much for allowing us to speak today. I'm Elizabeth Calvin. I'm a researcher and advocate with Human Rights Watch. We investigate human rights violations in some 80 countries. We support this bill because it both protects the rights of victims and provides for review of the cases of juveniles who've been sentenced to life without parole. The U.S. stands alone in the use of this sentence. No other country uses this sentence with people under the age of 18. It is in violation of international law. It is offensive to many religious traditions and moral frameworks. It contradicts neuroscience and knowledge of adolescent development, and it is also fiscally short-sighted. Existing law requires judges to make a final, irrevocable decision about an offender who is not yet fully developed into the adult he or she will become. Senate Bill 9 is a narrowly focused, modest bill. It would permit a judge to examine the case after the individual has matured and either let the life without parole sentence stand or resentence the individual to a minimum of 25 years to life. Every youth life without parole sentence costs California more than $2.6 million. But not every youth who has been convicted of murder in the first degree with special circumstances should be sentenced to be in prison until death. Human Rights Watch relied on information from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, court documents, media accounts, interviews with Department of Corrections and victims and people serving the sentence, and we found several disturbing factors. One is that an estimated 45% of these cases are cases in which the youth was not the trigger person. They were involved with a felony. They were a participant in a felony in which somebody else killed the victim. We also found that in about 70% of the cases, these youth had adult co-defendants, meaning that they were operating under the influence and in some cases under the direction of an adult. Disturbingly, 56% of the time, adults got a lesser sentence than the juvenile who got life without parole. We believe that this is a factor of youth itself. Nearly everyone can agree that there are people among the almost 300 juveniles who've been sentenced who should have an opportunity, just an opportunity to work towards parole. One of them is...
Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll take the next two witnesses, and then other supporters of the bill will be just introduce themselves, and then we'll go to opponents if there are any. You, sir?
My name is Sam.
On the fiscal issues, if possible.
Yes, actually it is. My name is Sam Pillsbury, and I'm a professor of criminal law at Loyola Law School, Los Angeles, and I'm a former federal prosecutor. I support SB 9 for public safety reasons, and I will relate those to costs. Prison is expensive, and in terms of imprisonment costs, juvenile life without chance of parole is California's most expensive sentence. It mandates incarceration from teenage years until death. So we should ask if this is a good use of public safety dollars. I'll focus just on dangerousness. Conviction of murder shows serious danger to others, though there are real differences between offenders and between danger at time of sentence and in later years. This is a life sentence. Age changes people. Who is the same at age 16, 26, 36, or 76? There's one basic fact that criminologists have documented across many nations about crime and age. Most criminal offenders are in their late teens to very early 20s. Rates of crime commission peak between 17 and 21. Most offenders stop committing crime by their early 20s, but not everyone. So we need to identify the few who remain dangerous. The crime of conviction tells us something, but it can't predict the future accurately, especially for someone in his teens. Accurate prediction requires subsequent information. Subsequent review, which is what this legislation does, providing a public legal process for the sentencing court to look at new facts, assisted by prosecutors and other interested parties, including victim family members. There's another public safety reason for this modest reform. Prison gets more expensive as prisoners age. Medical care can double or triple the average cost. This means that juvenile life requires incarceration when it's most expensive in dollar terms, but statistically provides the least public safety benefit. Currently, the only review mechanism is the very unlikely, highly problematic, and totally political pardon process. SB 9 establishes a careful legal method for determining whether the life sentence is still merited or whether changes that no one could have predicted mean that parole should be a possibility.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair and members, Dee Hamby with National Organization for Women, and we have reviewed this bill and find that it has little fiscal impact on the state and strongly support this bill.
Thank you. All righty, now we'll take those 3 chairs and let the other witnesses come up.
Linda Warner with the California Catholic Conference in strong support.
All righty. Other testimony in favor of this bill? Okay. Is there opposition to SB 9? Any opposition to SB 9? And we'll take 3, and then the other witnesses can introduce themselves.
It's good seeing you again.
All righty.
Good morning. My name is Phyllis Loya.
And you want to just push that red button?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Phyllis Loya. I'm a national board member of the National Organization of Victims of Juvenile Lifers. More importantly, I am a mother of a California police officer who was murdered in the line of duty in 2005. There are 7 of these approximately 262 JLWOP offenders serving their incarceration sentence for murdering 5 California peace officers. I have personally investigated by going to courthouses, pulling the files throughout the state of 191 of these 262 cases. I will tell you that based upon my personal research, I will match on a case-by-case basis with anyone from Human Rights Watch who is giving you false statistics. Of the 191 cases that I have researched, 22% of them are felony murder cases. In those cases, there are very aggravating circumstances which led the judge to sentence to LWOP rather than 25 years to life. We have a system that works now. It's called appellate, it's called habeas corpus, it's called clemency. Of the cases I've examined, many committed multiple murders, 2, 3, 4 victims. Many shot other victims, so that there are many additional counts of attempted murder. And I will tell you that for all these people that will come up here and tell you that the adolescent brain isn't as developed as adults, they need to look at some of the cases that I found. I have found 4 cases, just doing peripheral research, 4 cases in which these JLWOP offenders have been convicted of attempted murders committed in prison. One of them murdered another inmate and has been convicted. They are still killing.
Okay.
We are not the only.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me. I think under Marty's Law, you should allow me to continue for just a minute.
Just a minute? All righty. So you can draw your conclusions now.
Okay. The fiscal cost of this bill to each one of these potentially 5 sentencing hearings, which re-victimizes victims, would cost approximately $376,000 each one, times 5. Each one of these could be appealed.
Yeah, that just for your information, you realize that differs substantially with the analysis.
I understand, and I differ with it.
Yeah. You bring up very, very good points, and there's 2 other witnesses and then some more. So thank you, and we'll move on. Who's next, gentlemen?
Good morning, Madam Chair,
All right.
members. Corey Salzello on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association. We're opposed to the bill, as we have been for the last few years. We feel that incurring the costs that this bill does are unnecessary, especially because of existing procedures for trial, appeal, habeas proceedings. The author has said himself on several occasions that this bill does not guarantee anybody's release. So to come up and say that this bill is going to result in a lot of cost savings to the prison system, I think is counterintuitive. Let's just be clear that we're only talking about 16 and 17-year-old murderers here, which makes up the vast majority of the juvenile LWOP population in California's prisons. There's existing case law. The Supreme Court has already ruled that non-homicide cases involving juveniles, that an LWOP sentence for that type of case is unconstitutional. And in fact, the Enrique Nunez case that's mentioned in the analysis is not really on point here, because that case was a kidnapping that involved a 14-year-old, and under existing case law, such a person would not be, an LWOP sentence would be overturned. So for those reasons, we ask for your no vote.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, John Lovell with the California Police Chiefs Association and the California Narcotic Officers Association. We're opposed to this bill. First of all, under current law, there are 7 different decision points along the way where if at any point in those decision points the decision is made not to seek LWOP, that's it. There is no LWOP. Moreover, the governor, assuming there are cases that are outside the that are outlier cases, the governor has the authority to reduce sentences. He has the authority of clemency. So there are safeguards in place right now. The cost issues here are significant because you have 2 dimensions of cost. You have the increased workload on the courts, and you also have increased workloads on district attorneys, and that's very important in the current context. This legislature is on the threshold, or this legislature enacted the crossing of a major public policy Rubicon when they enacted public safety realignment. My clients support that concept, but I will tell you that the burden on district attorneys and on the rest of law enforcement to do that right is so significant that the last thing we should be doing is burdening the district attorneys with that additional burden.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next, please, very briefly.
Thank you. Dawn Kapke with McHugh Associates on behalf of Crime Victims United of California, also in strong opposition. We would like to align ourselves with the comments made by the District Attorneys Association.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Louis Brown on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association in opposition.
Anything further? Any other testimony in favor or opposed? Seeing none, members, this is a candidate for suspense. Any comments? Seeing none, the item goes to suspense.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Yee. We'll deal with it on Thursday. Continuing in file item order, Senator Lowenthal, you have one item, school facility state planning.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And this is a suspense candidate also, Senator.
I thought that this was the
Corrected.
corrected.
The costs are not significant. It's a
Right.
case-by-case basis, so we can make this a due pass, members, if you so choose.
I hope you do.
All righty. Go right ahead, Senator Lowenthal.
It just requires the Department of Education and the State Allocation Board to revise school facility construction regulations to ensure that they reflect the state's planning priorities according to the staffed analysis. Both the Department of Education and also the State Allocation Board can deal with these costs within their existing resources. The revision of the regulations are minor, absorbable, and it's the kind of work that they already do already. So I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, and we'll go to your witnesses.
Madam Chair, members, Justin Milan on behalf of the U.S. Green Building Council in California. This is really an important policy bill, and we believe that for significant infrastructure developments like schools, they need to be in sync with the other planning needs in California. So we urge your aye vote.
Thank you. Next, please.
Madam Chair, members, Cesar Diaz on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. I'd like to echo Mr. Milan's testimony, but also add that it takes years to build a school facility, so when they acquire property for the purposes of building, they should be building within the state's guidelines. Thank you.
Next, please. Oh, push that button.
Lynn Fox on behalf of the California Federation of Teachers in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other testimony in favor of SB 132? Is there opposition? Opposition to 132? Come on up, please.
Members, Richard Lyon on behalf of the California Building Industry Association. We are opposed to the bill both on policy grounds. We believe this is going to significantly potentially increase the ability to get appropriate sites identified in the growth areas. That's going to have a cost impact to both school districts, to the development community, and to the state. It's going to put considerably additional pressure on future bonds because of the increased cost to get sites approved in the growing areas of the state. For policy reasons and for fiscal reasons, we are opposed to the bill.
Thank you. Any other testimony opposed? Is there opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment on this? Members, this can be a due pass. Any comments? Senator Alquist, you move the bill. We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? No. Walters, no. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, no. Liu? Liu, aye. Pavley? Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Runner? Runner, no. Steinberg?
4-3. We'll hold the bill for the absent members.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Lowenthal. Senator Anderson, you're next, please. One item. This is SB 162. Members, this is a due pass. Go ahead, Senator, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members of the committee. This is a simple measure that does two things. It reconfigures the Gaming Policy Advisory Committee and requires that it meet at least twice a year. This committee has not met for over 2 years. Second, it clarifies the current law so it's clear that the third-party propositional players, bankers, are not under the control of the gaming establishment, but they are the direct responsibility of the company that they are employed by. Here to testify with me is Rod Blonian.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Rod Blonian on behalf of the Commerce Club, Hollywood Park Casino, Lucky Chances Village Club, and others in support. Currently, the third-party providers are registered and licensed by the Bureau and the Gambling Control Commission, and this would place primarily responsibility upon those owners for their employees, their acts, as well as their ownership. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Next, please.
Sylvia Solis Shaw on behalf of the Hawaiian Gardens Casino in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Seeing none, Ms. Ingenito, no file. Members, this is a due pass. Senator Alquist makes the motion. Any discussion? We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters?
Aye.
Walters, aye. Alquist? Aye. Alquist, aye. Emerson? Aye. Emerson, aye. Liu? Aye. Liu, aye. Pavley? Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Runner? Aye. Runner, aye. Steinberg?
7-0. Who's not on that? Pavley? Pavley and Steinberg. Steinberg will close them out. I'll keep it open. Senator Pavley's plane is late. But you have enough votes to get out, Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senators. Thank you.
You're welcome. Senator Woke. Senator Woke. You have 3 items, and we'll start with SB 340. Is that? Yes, go right ahead. This is a due pass, members.
Madam Chair, SB 340 will reduce state costs by moving the responsibility for remote caller bingo from the California Gambling Control Commission and maintains it at the local level with oversight by the Department of Justice. The DOJ is the appropriate entity. Many other types of charities are already registered with the DOJ for charitable fundraising purposes, such as raffles and casino nights. This will streamline the cumbersome process that currently exists at the Commission and will therefore eliminate state costs and provide consistent licensing of remote caller bingo, which is similar to traditional bingo. I have witnesses here to testify in support of this measure that has received bipartisan support.
Madam Chair, Kathy Lynch, representing the California Association of Nonprofits in strong support. We've supported this from the beginning as a very important tool for charities and fundraising activities. This maintains this at the local level where traditional bingo currently occurs. We're pleased to report that the game has commenced in California. The American Legion was the first out of the gate, and there are many more charities lining up. This does reduce the cumbersome process while maintaining the very highest return to charities in the country. Thank you.
Next, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, John Lovell, and I'm wearing two hats today. I represent one of the bingo management companies, Bingo Innovations, but I also represent the California Narcotic Officers Association, who view this as an important fundraising tool for their Survivors Memorial Fund, where we raise money, and when an officer is killed in the line of duty, the immediate family gets a check that day to handle transitional expenses. This is a good, solid bill. It is consistent with realignment philosophy.
Thank you. Any others? Go ahead.
Dana Nickel, P. Conantine Associates, representing the American Legion Department of California, AMVETS Department of California, Vietnam Veterans of America, California State Council, and support.
Very good. Any other testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Seeing none, members, this do pass. Senator Walters moves the bill. We'll take any comments. We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Walters, aye. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, aye. Liu? Liu, aye. Pavley? Price? Price, aye. Runner? Runner, aye. Steinberg?
7-0. We'll hold it for Senator Pavley. And now you have SB 489. This is a suspense candidate, Senator.
It is, and I will be very, very brief. I understand it's a candidate for suspense. I saw the analysis this morning, which surprised me, and I did want to speak directly to the cost issue.
Go right ahead. That's what we're here for.
First of all, this is not, contrary to the analysis, an expansion of the net metering program, nor does it increase the ratepayer subsidy associated with the program. Therefore, there is no increased cost to any ratepayer, including the state. The net metering program is capped at 5%. What the bill does is to allow biomass and other renewable technologies other than solar and wind to be part of that 5% cap. Agriculture net metered customers do not get the same level of subsidy as residential rooftop solar customers do. They pay both transmission and distribution costs. That's very different. So that needs to be taken into account. This was discussed in the Energy Committee. We did get out with that it does not increase the subsidy. We passed out with a 9-2 vote. I have some witnesses here to address specifically the subsidy and
Very
the taxpayer, ratepayer issues.
We'll go to your witnesses. Go right ahead.
Karen Mills, California Farm Bureau. The purpose of the bill is, in fact, to open up the types of customers who can participate in net metering with their renewable facilities, but the extent of any subsidy associated with net metering, as the Senator noted, is much more limited than suggested. Customers, like agricultural customers who pay demand charges and monthly customer charges, are paying fixed costs that significantly reduce any potential subsidy issues. And furthermore, the report referenced in the analysis also noted the minimal overall cost to utility revenues from the net metering program. Thank you.
Next, please.
Jeannie Merrill with the California Climate and Agriculture Network. We're a coalition of sustainable agriculture organizations, also in support of SB 489, and has been discussed, there's been a lot of confusion on the issue of ratepayer costs associated with the net energy metering program. As has been said, unlike residential participants in the program who do not pay transmission and distribution costs associated with home solar installations, current agricultural and commercial participants in the program pay a significant portion of T&D costs. And so 489 does not increase the net energy metering subsidy, as described in the analysis. And we clarified this issue in the committee, and the committee voted in favor of the bill 9-2. And SB 489, we believe, will help the state meet its renewable energy goals.
Thank you. Next, please.
Madam Chair, members, Justin Malone on behalf of Sustainable Conservation, the Ecological Farmers, and also the Community Alliance with Family Farmers. As you can see, they environmental, very attuned environmental farmers, and we very much support this bill. We do concur with the previous speakers that we don't see the cost anywhere like what your analysis shows, and we hope that if it does go to suspense, that we can address these issues.
Thank you. Next, please. We have more people. Thank you. And if you'll just give us your name and the position on the bill.
Michael Bocadoro on behalf of the Ag Energy Consumers Association, also in support.
All righty. Thank you.
Teresa Bowie with Californians Against Waste in support.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Louis Brown on behalf of the Alliance of Western Milk Producers and the California Cotton Ginners and Growers Associations in support.
All righty. Members, this does meet the criteria for suspense, and it will go there. We'll work with the author in the meantime.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And then we have SB 594, local health laboratories. And Senator Woke, I just want to let the members know that with the amendments that you're committed to, this is a due pass, members. This is a due pass. Go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do indeed accept all the amendments that are reflected in the analysis. This has to do with continuing education requirements for public health microbiologists, and the infrastructure for this program is already in place. These programs is already in place. The costs associated with the implementation of the bill will be offset in part by fees on the microbiologists. I ask for your aye vote.
All righty. Any testimony in favor? In favor? Opposition? Come on up. And have you seen the amendments?
We have not,
All righty.
Madam Chair. Juliana Vorst with the Urban Counties
It'll
Caucus.
be perfect after that.
I'm sure. We had an opposed unless amended position. We were asking for a couple of amendments. Specifically, one of them was about the fact that the previous amendments inserted 30-year-old regulations, which we thought was inappropriate, and we would ask for flexibility for counties, and that's why we had opposed unless amended. We'll look at the amendments, and we have been looking at the author.
They are noted in the analysis, so you can get one of those.
Thank you.
Yes.
Cindy Hillary, Regional Council of Rural Counties, echoing the statements before. In the previous form, we were opposed unless amended, and we haven't had a chance to review the amendments.
Next, please.
Madam Chair, members, Brian Longwood on behalf of the Orange County Board of Supervisors. In agreement with previous testimony, we have not had a chance to look at the amendments, but certainly will.
All righty. That was opposition. Any other testimony? Finance, do you have a comment on this one? Members, do I have a motion? Senator Alquist moves the bill. Any comments? We'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters?
No.
Walters, no. Alquist? Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, no. Liu? Liu, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Price? Price, aye. Runner? Runner, no.
5-3? 5-3, that bill is out.
Thank you.
Senator, okay. Senator Strickland, you're next on the file. And you have two items. Senator Strickland, on the SB 177, the facility, living facility, we're going to limit that to Santa Barbara?
Fantastic.
All righty, so then it would be a due pass, members.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and present?
Sure. Madam Chair, Senators, SB 177 is very important to my district. The bill simply raises the bed limit for congregate living facilities that serve terminally ill patients in counties with populations more than 400,000 and less than 500,000. Santa Barbara County currently has only one licensed facility, which has 6 beds. This bill will allow more beds within the county to provide the necessary service. With that, I ask for your vote.
All righty. And your witnesses, please.
Peter Kellison on behalf of the California Hospice and Palliative Care Association. We're in support of the bill.
All righty. And this is amended to Santa Barbara County only. All righty. Next,
Good morning, Madam Chair. Tom Sheehy, Greenberg-Toreg, here on behalf of the Visiting Nurse and Hospice Care of Santa Barbara. Appreciate you taking up this measure today. We do believe, in fact, it'll save the state Medi-Cal system a significant amount of money because the patients that are served in hospice care are at a rate substantially less than if they end up in an acute care hospital bed. So for that reason and for the good policy, we'd appreciate your support today. Thank you.
Very good. Other testimony in favor? And then we'll go to finance. Okay, opposed? And we need those chairs, gentlemen.
Thank you. Kelly Green with the California Nurses Association. We oppose on 2 primary points. The first one being that we have a principled opposition to the sponsoring legislation to modify the law on the bed limits for one particular facility. It's our understanding, even if the bill is amended to apply only to Santa Barbara County, currently the bill previously only would have applied to that one facility in Santa Barbara County. So we have a point of opposition to that. And secondly, we do think that it's important that the committee and other lawmakers continue to look at building standards. We're concerned about a trend of increasing the size of these facilities, knowing that they would only have to abide by state fire marshal standards, which is what I understand that this facility would continue to have to abide by, and therefore we would suggest that facilities that do have more that do fall under a higher bed limit would meet OSHPD level building standards, which would be higher for the patients and the staff who are within. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment?
The Department of Public Health estimates that the costs would be minor and absorbable, and the Department of Finance is neutral on this measure.
I'd move the bill.
We agree in part. Senator Ahlquist, moves the bill. And any comments, members? This is. Oh, I beg your pardon. It's okay. Then it's Senator Runner's motion. This is a do pass with the amendment. Any other comments? Senator Pavley.
I'll be voting for an appropriation. That's the first time I've heard of the opposition's kinds of arguments, so reserve the right on the floor after I look at it. But on the fiscal issue, good to go.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Pavley. I think it's the first time, actually, I heard of the opposition, too, but it's, I support it. It's a unique circumstance. The beds are already built. I don't know any place that has too many beds, so I can get there, I guess is the short answer. We have a motion do pass with the amendments, and so we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Walters? Aye. Walters, aye. Alquist? Aye. Alquist, aye. Emerson? Emerson, aye. Liu? Aye. Liu, aye. Pavley? Aye. Pavley, aye. Price? Aye. Price, aye. Runner? Aye. Runner, aye. Steinberg?
8-0. That bill has sufficient votes. Now we're at SB 428. This is the Public Safety Omnibus Bill. Are you presenting on that also?
I'm waiving presentation, Madam
Very
Chair.
good. Then we'll take it up when we get to the waived presentations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Vargas, maybe we can get it done before session. This is SB 833. Yes. And I think we'll, depending on the opposition and support, maybe we'll do 3 and 3 just for the sake of time.
Thank you very much.
And Senator, you know that this is a candidate for suspense that Caltrans money, so you go ahead and address the whole bill.
I will. Thank you very much, and again, thank you for allowing me to present. I know the time is short. This bill, as you know, prohibits the construction or operation of a solid waste disposal facility in San Diego County if that facility is located within 1,000 feet of the San Luis Rey River or an aquifer and that is connected to that river, or if the facility is within 1,000 feet of a site that's considered sacred or is spiritual to the cultural importance of a federally recognized Indian tribe. I know that there's others to speak on the $1 million. I do have to say it's the first time I've seen a notion like this, that it's either a gift or not mitigation, or I don't know what it's called, potentially send something to suspense, because if it is mitigation, obviously, and then it's not a cost, it's mitigation they have to pay. If it is a gift, it's odd. I've never seen a gift before require then something be sent to suspense. But I believe that there might be more comments from the people who
There
speak.
probably will be. I wouldn't doubt it. The analysis notes that the $1 million to Caltrans is for safety upgrades to the SR-76, in addition to any other mitigation that for traffic impacts that would be required by the project. I did ask for extra information on this because it's the first time I've heard it too in the last few days, but apparently it has been in the documents for several years. People are free to address any aspect of the fiscal aspects of the bill. So we'll go to your witnesses.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. Walter Rusnick. I represent the Pala Band of Mission Indians, who with the other 19 tribes in the San Diego County are vigorously opposed to this project because it will desecrate sacred sites and cause other environmental impacts. On the issue of whether there's a revenue impact from this $1 million that's been quote-unquote promised to Caltrans, one thing we need to consider is the fact that there is no permit issued for this project. So it's only speculative as whether this $1 million would ever be realized anyhow, and there are a number of permits that need to go through. So that only happens if a project occurs, and that's not a given at this point. The other question would be is when would this revenue be lost? And it's not clear. This was promised back in 2002, and there still has been no revenue realized. I want to say the issue, the analysis says that this is safety upgrades that are unrelated to the project, but the location of this project limits where these improvements could be made on State Route 76, and the permit provision requires that they be made in the vicinity of the project. That limits, it's a 3-mile stretch, part of which has been improved and part of which will be improved already. I want to make sure that everybody understands that in Caltrans, when they looked at this project, indicated that they believed that other mitigation measures needed to be addressed that were not specifically addressed in the EIR. And they said that as a safety measures needed to be improved to maintain the level of safety and operation on SR-76, they asked the applicant to commit to making the project improvements and improvements to SR-76 that are probably what this $1 million would cover. The applicant and the county said, we do not need to make those safety improvements, but we'll offer you $1 million to put in warning devices or other interim measures. So the idea that this is not related to 600 trucks, garbage trucks, driving down a 2-lane road to get to this landfill, that's just not the case. If these were not identified as significant impacts in the EIR, they clearly are improvements that are necessary to make it safe to get to this landfill and that would improve access to the landfill for the garbage trucks and for these 24-ton transfer trailers that would be using this narrow road. So my feeling is that this is no fiscal impact from this bill, and the analysis clearly said that there is no fiscal impact from the enforcement provisions either. Thank you.
Next, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. I'm Victoria Rome with the Natural Resources Defense Council. We're here in support of SB 833 to protect San Diego County's drinking water, other natural resources, and sacred sites. I'd like to agree with the statement by the Pala Band of Mission Indians that we think this should not have a fiscal impact, and we urge your support for the bill. Thank you.
Next, please.
Yeah, David Quintana on behalf of the California Tribal Business Alliance, the Viejas Band of Kumeyaay Indians, the Pala Band of Luiseño Indians, the Skenta Band of Numlaki Indians, the Picayune Rancheria, the Chukchansi Indians, and the Habemetal Pomo of Upper Lake. The proponents want to build a garbage dump adjacent to our sacred mountain, one that has been sacred for thousands of years. They can recite their garbage dump. We cannot move our sacred mountain. For that reason, we're all opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's brevity also. Ms. Treat, you're next.
Yes, Paula Treat on behalf of Pechanga Band of Luiseño Mission Indians. The mountain is sacred. It's called Chocla in Luiseño. Not just the Luiseño tribes, but other tribes revere it as a sacred site and have for hundreds and hundreds of years. We would very much like you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Madam Chair and members, Barry Brokaw on behalf of the Agua Caliente Band of Tawía Indians. We're in support of the bill as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Teresa Booth, Californians Against Waste, strongly support this bill. Thank you.
All righty. Next, please.
Susan Jordan, California Coastal Protection Network. We're strongly in support of this bill, and we don't believe that the $1 million is unrelated to this project. It's directly related to the impacts this project causes.
All right.
Chair, members, Rachel O'Brien, on behalf of the California League of Conservation Voters, we are in support.
Gretchen Ingbring, on behalf of the Planning and Conservation League, echoing the comments of our colleagues, we're in strong support of this bill.
All righty. Additional testimony in favor? Opposition testimony, please. Come on up, and then we'll hear from Finance on the bill. Opposition? And I would like brief testimony. We're due on the floor in a few minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I'm Tony Gonzalez on behalf of Herzog Construction Company. We oppose SB 833 on several grounds, but what I would like to do is to allow Jim Simmons with Gregory Canyon Limited to articulate our opposition to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senators. My name is Jim Simmons. I'm the project manager for Gregory Canyon. And, you know, we've been through 17 years of very, very good regulatory process. As some of you are aware, the solid waste permit was issued last week. We're in a process of coming to the end of a very strong process. We've been at it for 17 years. There have been two very, very strong votes in favor, where the opposition spent over $6 million in the second vote educating the public, and we still won by a substantial margin. The Board of Supervisors has supported us from the County of San Diego. We have letters into you from several cities that have supported us. The need is well established. The money that is being spent here was money that was added for safety features that would be needed whether this project is built or not. The County of San Diego has also stepped in and said that the TIF, the Transportation Infrastructure Fund, that is necessary would be $875,000 that they need for upgrades to this area. So I urge you to vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Jonathan Clay, on behalf of the County of San Diego, we're also in opposition to this bill because it usurps the existing and longstanding local permit process.
And additional testimony. Last but not least.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dave Ackerman, representing the Associated General Contractors. For the reasons stated, we are opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other testimony for or against? Seeing none, Finance, do you have a file on this?
Madam Chair, members, according to CalRecycle, the bill would have no fiscal impact because it imposes no new duties on CalRecycle, and the Department of Finance concurs with that. The measure would result in the loss of the $1 million that would otherwise be directed to Caltrans pursuant to the statement of overriding consideration for the project, assuming that that project moves forward. But it is unclear to us at this time if the needs and those project would still be necessary if this landfill did not occur.
If the project did not go forward. All righty. The $1 million from to Caltrans from the developers is the key issue. Both fiscal and the committee staff see it as a loss to Caltrans should the bill be successful. So it does meet the criteria for suspense. Members, if there's comments, now's the time. Otherwise, we will deal with it on Thursday.
I guess I would just comment. That's fine. I have to say it is rather odd, though. I've never seen a bill like this go on to a suspense file when the issue is almost, I mean, you have to get into metaphysics. If the project does happen, then will they put $1 million in and the $1 million not required as mitigation? I mean, it's not one of those simple logic, this will be the cost. But again, I'm happy to leave it on suspense and vote on it Thursday. But again, it's a rather odd situation to be in. I've never seen this sort of metaphysical $1 million. It's something that's not mitigation. It's not a gift. What is it? But happy to leave it on suspense.
Thank you, Senator Vargas.
Thank you.
Members, that bill is on suspense. And all right, we are on the floor. We will recess until the end of floor session, and then we'll return here immediately upon adjournment, members, to see if we can get through the rest of it.